Is yoga a waste of time for men over 40? Gentlemen, most of us have an extremely limited time to train, and the amount of time in which we train has to be extremely productive and extremely beneficial. It is terrifying that people will do things that don't really move the needle and don't really get them to that goal of being the man that they want to become. What you will get from this video, I will go through what yoga is, we'll look at a video of yoga, the pros of it, the cons of it, whether it actually improves your longevity, my thoughts, and then that'll be it, video will be done. Who the hell am I? My name is Paul Green. I'm a former British paratrooper and Special Forces Support Group operator. Over the past decade, I have specialised as a physical training instructor, and I have delivered physical training to thousands of individuals, varying from those that are really on the high level of fitness, all the way down to people with extremely low fitness, mixed abilities, mixed age groups, and even those on the post-injury pathway. Let's get straight into this amazing topic. Right, like I mentioned earlier on, the plan of action is, what is yoga, the pros and cons, will it help with longevity, and if it doesn't, why doesn't it? So what is yoga? Definition, right? Is it going to let me go off? Can I spell yoga? Of course I can. Right, yoga is a group of physical and mental and spiritual practices or disciplines which originated in ancient India. Anyway, I've got a guy called Paulgreenbjj Fitness, and middle-aged gentleman, and he's doing some yoga. So, I'm going to go straight into what I believe the pros of yoga are. Just have a quick look at my notes. So the pros are it's accessible. As you can see, this man is in his garden, weather's nice, he's got a yoga mat, he's having a great time. This is extremely accessible to anybody. All you need is a little bit of space, a yoga mat, and you can do a yoga session. It clearly has an appeal to mass market. Off the bat, you can see him doing movements there which are really stretching out his back, his lats, and the rear part of his shoulders. What yoga is really good for is it works your isometric strength at length. And what I mean by that is isometric muscle contractions are where your muscle's contracting but there's no real change of length. So what you can see here is his body is in a lengthened position and it is isometrically contracting. Another benefit of yoga is the emotional and spiritual benefits, if that's what you're into. I have no doubt if you're in the corporate world and high stress, high tuned environments where you're constantly hitting targets, hitting demands and maximum stress, taking the time out to get yourself in nature for 30 minutes and breathe and really be present, I have no doubt in my mind that that can serve some serious, positive benefits for you. On the emotional side, yes, escaping, being present, thinking about yourself, thinking about your movements, going slowly and just escaping the world. I have no doubt in my mind that that is definitely a pro in my eyes. Also the spiritual benefits. Now this is an area that I haven't really explored too much of at the moment. I will probably explore it more in the future. My missus is massively into it. But I have no doubt, the spiritual benefits as well, meditation, Buddhism, and Hinduism and stuff like that. There is definitely a lot of appeal to the spiritualist natured people. So straight away the cons, it doesn't improve your power. You can see a lot of these positions have him in a lengthened position, but he's not really exploding into anything. He's not really, it doesn't really require his motor unit to explode and really spark into position. So it doesn't really improve your power. And if you can see there, it says subscribe to him, Paulgreenbjj Fitness, yoga guy. Seems like a cool dude. He's got his headphones in and he's probably talking through the movements. Anyway, it doesn't really improve your strength. Basically, you've got 3 different types of muscle contractions. You've got concentric muscle contractions, which is the shortening of the muscle. You've got eccentric, which is the lengthening of the muscles, and you have got isometric. Predominantly, yoga only focuses on one of them, and it's usually the lengthened position. It's usually the isometric contraction at length. Your body will go into a new position, and then when it's holding that new position, you'll feel like a bit of a shaking of the muscle. That is your muscle working isometrically, and when it works isometrically, that will allow, when your body now is accepting the fact that, okay, I can now lengthen the muscle and it'll be safe for me to do so, I can now go into that position more frequently. And that's why you improve your mobility when you're doing stuff like this. It's because you gain strength isometrically. If you didn't gain strength isometrically, your body would not be happy with going into these new ranges of motion. Anyway, I'm talking about negatives. So you do not work your concentric muscle contraction, the shortening of the muscle, or the eccentric muscle contractions through a full range of motion with a decent amount of resistance. That's a negative for me, because we're only focusing on a little bit of one. What else have I got? It doesn't improve your speed. Similar to power, doesn't really improve your speed. Sean, VigU Fitness, thank you very much for that. The big question, will it improve your longevity? Well, when I think about longevity now and longevity in the next 10 years, I immediately think about that primary focus of reducing the decline of your type 2B muscle fibers. Power, speed and strength. Will it improve that? The answer to that question is simply no. My thoughts. Yoga creates problems, and the reason it creates problems is when you're in a position, a new range of motion for example, it teaches you to be passive. And what the word passive means is when your hamstring is extended, when your hamstring is extended and your leg is fully straight, your quadricep should be tight and shortened. Now, what yoga teaches a lot of the time is it teaches you to be passive. So it will teach you to relax the quad and relax the hamstring. Now, a few 100,000 reps of your hamstrings and your quads both being relaxed leaves your knee very vulnerable. And I'm saying this because your muscles are supposed to work opposites. And in particular, at new ranges of motion, this is highly important in basically your body's ability to reduce impact on the joints. Now, if you've got two of the main muscles that surround a joint working passively, they're going to be really relaxed. And the joint itself is going to take a lot of the impact. Another thing on being passive is the joint structure itself. The tendons and ligaments of the joint are basically supposed to be as rigid as possible. The tendons and ligaments are supposed to stop or restrict any unwanted movement at the joint. That's their primary job. So for example, your knee or your elbow, the tendons and ligaments on the either side are supposed to stop moving sideways because the knee and elbow are only supposed to move in two directions. Flex, extend. There should be no sideways movement at the knee and elbow. The tendons and ligaments do their job in doing that. What happens with yoga is when you become really passive, your joints can become hypermobile. This is a fucking huge problem. But that's enough on that. Hopefully you appreciate that point. Another thing, it's difficult to measure and it's difficult to track your progress? How would you progressively overload yourself in a yoga pose to improve your strength in a certain yoga pose? How would you get stronger other than just doing that pose for a little bit longer? Like, it's just a little bit wish-washy. It's very hard to be specific. In the fitness industry, you know, or in business, we use something called SMART targets. And if you cannot set a specific goal that's measurable, is it really any good? Is it really worth its weight? It's very hard to add resistance. Now, I know there are some poses that you can add resistance to, like the pigeon pose. I actually use an elevated pigeon pose in a lot of my programs, but I add a dumbbell in there as well. So you're actually building strength at these new ranges, not just doing isometric contractions at the new ranges. You are actually moving through these ranges with weights. If you do yoga, right, some of these yoga poses, if you've done a lot of this stuff with weights, it would be 10 times better. And I've obviously mentioned the next point about joints meant to be rigid. I've already mentioned that. Summary. So I challenge you to think about what the man you want to become is doing. And then just work backwards from that. If you envision, you know, the future you playing with your grandkids, you know, climbing up and down trees, then, you know, you strengthen your back muscles. Pull up would be a good goal. 5 pull-ups would be a good goal. You know, being able to climb, it'd be box jumps, step ups, squatting, split squats, cardiovascular training, so then you can play, you know, games with them and you're not ridiculously out of breath. Agility, a little bit of coordination. Unless the man you want to become is doing a happy baby pose. Gentlemen, a touchy subject for a lot of people. A lot of people are huge fans of yoga. However, as you can see, I really question the value of yoga. I believe it has a huge appeal to people that are very unconditioned because it's very accessible and it will provide a little bit of benefit to those individuals. But once they've achieved those benefits, then you should move straight on to actually getting strong, getting in the gym, really developing your strength, power and speed. Because the strength, power and speed of your muscles and your joints will reduce joint pain, improve joint resilience, and improve your ability to do all the crazy things that you want to do in your life. But that's my thoughts and opinions. What are your thoughts and opinions? Let's talk about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments on this subject. Pleasure. See you tomorrow.